throwaway account because some of my friends know my main. I, 34M, have been married to my wife, 32F, for almost 6 years. Up until recently, I genuinely thought we were not perfect, but solid. You know, normal couple stuff, occasional arguments about chores, money, her being late to literally everything, but nothing that screamed, "This is falling apart." She's always been intense, sharp-tongued, quick to snap, but also the kind of person who can flip and be incredibly charming 5 minutes later. I used to think that was just her personality, passionate, expressive, whatever. Looking back now, I think I ignored a lot of red flags because I didn't want to deal with what they might mean. The lying, for example. At first, it was small things. Dumb things. Like saying she already paid a bill when she hadn't. Or telling me she was at her sister's place when she was actually out with coworkers. When I'd call her out, she'd either brush it off, "Why are you making this a big deal?" or get defensive and turn it around on me somehow. And yeah, I let that slide way more than I should have. Things started feeling off about 3 months ago. She suddenly became glued to her phone. Like, always face down, notifications muted, taking it with her even to the bathroom. If I walked into the room, she'd tilt the screen away just slightly. Not obvious enough to call out without sounding paranoid, but enough that you notice. I told myself I was overthinking it. Then one night, out of nowhere, she told me she might need to start working late more often. No real explanation, just vague stuff about pressure at work and new responsibilities. The thing is, I know her job. There was nothing going on that would suddenly require late nights multiple times a week. I remember nodding and saying, "Yeah, okay, I get it." But something in my gut just didn't sit right. And that was before everything started getting really weird. So yeah, I tried to ignore the gut feeling. For about a week, I convinced myself I was just being insecure. I didn't want to be that guy, the paranoid husband checking phones and asking questions every 5 minutes. I trusted her, or at least I thought I did. But then things escalated fast. Her working late turned into coming home at 10 to 11 p.m., sometimes even later. The first couple of times, she'd text updates like, "Running late, don't wait up." After that, nothing. Just silence for hours. If I called, she'd either decline it or text back something like, "Can't talk, busy." One night, she came home smelling like perfume. Not hers. I know how that sounds, but I'm telling you, it wasn't subtle. It was strong, different, almost sweet and heavy. My wife usually wears something light, almost unnoticeable. This was the kind of scent that lingers in a room after someone leaves. I asked her about it, trying to keep it casual. She didn't even hesitate. Just rolled her eyes and said, "We had a coworker's birthday. People hug. That's a thing, you know." And the way she said it, like I was stupid for even asking, made me second-guess myself immediately. But then came the second weird thing. She started locking her phone. Now, I know a lot of people lock their phones, that's normal. But she never used to. Not once in 6 years. We both had open access, no questions asked. Suddenly, Face ID, passcode, the whole thing. And she got weirdly protective over it. Like, one time I picked it up just to check the time because mine was charging, and she literally snatched it out of my hand and went, "Why are you touching my phone?" That hit different. I laughed it off in the moment, but inside, something just dropped. Like a quiet realization that things weren't just a little off anymore. They were changing. And not in a good way. I told myself I needed something real. Not just feelings, not just suspicion. I had no idea I was about to get it, and way more than I was ready for. About 2 weeks after the late nights started, something happened that I still can't get out of my head. It was a Tuesday. Nothing special. I got home from work earlier than usual because a meeting got canceled. I remember thinking it'd be nice to just relax, maybe order food together when she got back. She had texted me earlier. Working late again. Don't wait up. Same script. Except, around 7:30 p.m., I got a notification on our shared tablet. We barely use it, but it's still connected to her email and some apps. It was a ride receipt. Pickup, a bar across town. Time, 6:58 p.m. I just stared at it for a solid minute, trying to make sense of it. Maybe it was for a coworker? Maybe she had a work thing at a bar? I was reaching hard for any explanation that didn't immediately jump to the obvious. Then another notification popped up. Another ride scheduled. Different location. Later that night. That's when my chest started tightening. Like physically. I could feel my heartbeat in my throat. I told myself, don't jump to conclusions. Just ask her. So I texted her. Hey, how's work going? She replied almost instantly. Busy. Probably here till at least 10. That was it. That was the moment something in me snapped. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly. Like a switch flipping. Because now I knew she was lying. Not. Maybe. Not. Could be misunderstanding. Just straight up lying to my face without hesitation. I didn't respond. Instead, I did something I never thought I'd do. I opened her email on the tablet. And yeah, I know, invasion of privacy, whatever. Believe me, I went back and forth in my head for all of 10 seconds before doing it. But at that point, it felt like I was already being played, and I needed to know how deep it went. At first, nothing obvious. Work emails, promotions, spam. Then I saw a thread with no name, just an email address. Short messages. Casual. Too casual. Stuff like, same place tonight? Missed you earlier. Don't be late this time, winking face. My hands actually started shaking. And then I saw her reply. Relax. He thinks I'm working. I don't think I've ever felt that kind of drop in my stomach before. But somehow, that still wasn't the worst part of that night. After reading that message, I just sat there for a while. No dramatic reaction, no yelling, nothing. Just quiet. Like my brain was trying to catch up with something my gut had already accepted. She's cheating. Even typing that now feels surreal. I should have confronted her right then. That would have been the normal, healthy thing to do. But instead, I went the other way. I decided to see it with my own eyes. I grabbed my keys, got in the car, and drove to the bar from the receipt. The whole way there, I kept hoping I'd get there and realize I misunderstood everything. That she'd be there with coworkers laughing, and I'd feel like an idiot for doubting her. That didn't happen. I got there around 8:15. Sat in the car for a minute, staring at the entrance like it might somehow change what I was about to see. Then I went in. Dim lighting, loud music, crowded, typical place. And yeah, it didn't take long. She was there. Sitting at a table in the back, leaning in way too close to some guy I'd never seen before. Laughing in that way she used to laugh with me, like she's completely locked into the moment, like nothing else exists. His hand was on hers. Not subtle. Not. Could be friendly. Just there. I felt this weird mix of heat and cold all at once. Like my body didn't know how to react. My first instinct was to walk over and make a scene. Honestly, I wanted to. But I didn't. Instead, I just watched. For a few minutes that felt way longer than they actually were. Long enough to see her check her phone, roll her eyes slightly, probably at a message from me she was ignoring, and then smile right back at him like nothing else mattered. That hurt more than I expected. Eventually I left. Didn't confront them. Didn't say a word. Just walked out, got back in my car, and sat there gripping the steering wheel like an idiot. And then, because apparently that night wasn't done messing with me, my phone buzzed. It was her. "Hey, gonna be super late. Don't wait up, okay?" I actually laughed. Like out loud. Alone in my car. Because at that point, the lying wasn't even shocking anymore. It was just blatant. That's when I realized something important. This wasn't new. This wasn't a one-time mistake. I barely slept that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the same thing, her across the table, smiling at him like I didn't exist. Around 3 a.m., I just gave up and stared at the ceiling, feeling this constant pressure in my chest. By morning, I had made up my mind. If there was more, and deep down I knew there was, I was going to find it. She left for work, like usual. Quick kiss on the cheek rushed. "Love you," out the door. Same routine we'd had for years. That almost made it worse. As soon as I heard the door close, I went straight for the tablet again. This time, I wasn't hesitating. I checked everything I could access, email, synced apps, even old messages. At first, it was just more of the same. Short, flirty emails with that same guy. Still no name, just that address. Then I found something that made my stomach drop all over again. A calendar entry. No title. Just a time block, recurring. Twice a week. Evenings. It lined up perfectly with her. Late nights. I clicked into it, hoping for, I don't know, some kind of explanation. There was a location attached. Not the bar. A hotel. I just sat there staring at it, trying to process. Like my brain was refusing to fully accept what that obviously meant. But it got worse. Because right under the location, there were notes. Short. Casual. Like this was just another part of her schedule. Room under his name. Don't text after 6. Delete messages. That last one hit hard. Not because it was surprising at that point, but because it meant she was being careful. This wasn't sloppy, impulsive behavior. This was planned. Routine. I felt sick. Like physically sick. I actually had to get up and go to the bathroom because I thought I might throw up. That's how hard it hit. And yet, part of me kept going. I don't know why. Maybe because once you start, you can't stop. You just need to know how bad it really is. So I went back. Digging deeper. Emails, old archive threads, random accounts I didn't even know she still used. And the more I looked, the worse it got. That no-name email thread? That was just the current guy. There were others. Different email addresses. Different tones. Some more casual, some way too familiar. Messages going back months. Maybe longer. I stopped checking dates after a while because it honestly didn't matter anymore. What mattered was the pattern. Same structure every time. Flirty buildup. Inside jokes. Plans to meet. Then, silence or deletion. Rinse, repeat. Like she was cycling through people. I remember finding one older thread where she literally wrote, "Let's keep this simple. No drama." That line stuck with me for some reason. Because meanwhile, at home, I was living in what I thought was a real marriage. Bills, routines, future plans, talking about maybe getting a bigger place next year. And for her, it was like she had this completely separate life where none of that existed. I sat there for hours just scrolling. At some point, the anger came back, but different this time. Less explosive, more hollow. Like something inside me was just draining out. I started questioning everything. Was any of it real? Did she ever actually love me, or was I just convenient? How long had I been the only one taking this seriously? And then the self-doubt hit hard. I started replaying every argument we'd ever had, every time she called me too sensitive or said I was overthinking things. Every time she flipped the script and made me feel like the problem. And the worst part? I believed her. For years. That realization hurt almost more than the cheating itself. Because it meant I hadn't just been betrayed, I'd been manipulated. Slowly, consistently, in ways I didn't even notice at the time. By the time I finally stopped digging, it was already evening. I hadn't eaten. My head was pounding. My hands felt cold. And all I could think was, there's no coming back from this. She came home around 10:30 that night. Same routine again. Keys down, shoes off. That tired sigh like she'd just survived another exhausting day at work. Except this time, I was ready. I didn't sit on the couch pretending everything was fine. I was standing in the middle of the room when she walked in. She froze for a second, longer than the night before. "What?" she said, already sounding defensive. I didn't yell. I didn't even raise my voice. I just said, "How long has it been going on?" That was it. And for a split second, just a split second, I saw it on her face. Panic. Real, unfiltered panic. Then it disappeared. Replaced instantly with irritation. "I have no idea what you're talking about," she snapped, walking past me like this was beneath her. That flipped something in me. "Don't do that," I said. "Don't lie. Not right now." She turned around, arms crossed. "Then stop making vague accusations like I'm supposed to guess what fantasy you've made up." Fantasy. That word hit hard. So I said it. The bar. The hotel. The emails. One by one. Each word landed, and this time she couldn't hide it as well. Her posture shifted, her jaw tightened, but she still didn't fully break. Instead, she rolled her eyes. "You went through my stuff?" she said, like that was the issue. I actually laughed. "Seriously? That's what you're going with?" She shrugged. "I mean, yeah. That's a huge violation of privacy." I stared at her, trying to process how we got here, how she was standing in front of me, caught, and still trying to twist it. "So you're not even going to deny it?" I asked. She hesitated. Just for a moment. Then, "It's not what you think." Of course it wasn't. It's never what you think. "Then explain it," I said. She sighed dramatically, like I was exhausting her. "It didn't mean anything," she said. "It's just something that happened. You're blowing it way out of proportion." Something that happened. Like it was an accident. Like it just slipped into her schedule between meetings. I felt that anger again, but this time it was sharper. "Multiple times?" I asked. "Multiple people?" That one landed. She didn't answer right away. And in that silence, I got my answer. But somehow, even then, she wasn't done. She didn't apologize. Not even close. Instead, she looked me dead in the eye and said, "Maybe if you actually paid attention to me, we wouldn't be here." I swear for a second, I thought I misheard her. I just stood there like, "Are you serious right now?" "All you do is work, come home, sit around, and act like that's enough," she continued, her voice getting sharper. "You stopped trying a long time ago." That hit, but not in the way she probably expected. Because yeah, I work. I pay our bills. I tried to build something stable for us. I thought that was part of showing up in a marriage. But more than that, I did try. I remembered birthdays, planned trips, checked in on her when she was stressed, listened when she vented. And now she was rewriting all of that like it never happened. "You're seriously blaming me for this?" I asked. She shrugged. I'm saying it didn't come out of nowhere. There it was again, that calm, almost dismissive tone. Like we were discussing something minor, not the fact that she'd been lying and cheating for who knows how long. I felt my hands clench. You lied to me. 4 months. Probably longer, I said. You had a whole other life I didn't even know about. She rolled her eyes again. Oh my God, stop being dramatic. It wasn't a whole other life. It was just something separate. Something separate. I repeated it in my head, like it might start making sense if I heard it enough times. It meant nothing, she added. You're the one I'm married to, aren't you? That line? That one stuck. Because in her mind, that was supposed to make it better. Like I should feel reassured that I was still the main person while she did whatever she wanted on the side. I just stared at her. And for the first time, I think I really saw her clearly, not who I thought she was, not who I wanted her to be, but who she actually was in that moment. Cold. Detached. More annoyed at being caught than sorry for what she did. I didn't think you'd ever find out, she said suddenly. No emotion. Just a statement. And weirdly, that hurt more than everything else she'd said. Because it confirmed it. She wasn't conflicted. She wasn't guilty. She was just careless. After that, I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything, didn't storm out, didn't do any of the stuff you imagine happening in moments like this. I just felt tired. Like everything inside me had been running at full speed for days, and suddenly it all shut down at once. She was still talking, something about how relationships are complicated, and people have needs, but I wasn't really hearing it anymore. It all blurred into background noise. Because the truth was already clear. There was nothing left to argue about. No hidden explanation. No misunderstanding. No. We can talk this through and fix it. Moment. This wasn't a crack in the relationship. This was the relationship. I walked past her and sat down. She stopped talking. Are you seriously just going to sit there? She said, annoyed again. I looked at the floor for a second, then back at her. I'm trying to figure out when exactly I lost you, I said. She scoffed. Oh my God, not everything is that deep. That line. I don't know why, but it hit harder than anything else she'd said. Because for me, it was that deep. This was my marriage. My life. 6 years of memories that I thought meant something. And for her, it was inconvenient. I nodded slowly, more to myself than to her. Yeah, I said quietly. I think it is. She grabbed her phone, clearly done with the conversation. I'm not doing this all night, she said. We can talk when you've calmed down. That almost made me laugh again. Calm down. I wasn't even angry anymore. That was the problem. I felt empty. Like whatever connection I had to her just got cut in real time, and my brain hadn't fully processed it yet. She walked off to the bedroom, like this was just another argument we'd get over in a day or two. I stayed where I was. Sat there for a long time, staring at nothing, replaying everything in my head, not just the last few days, but the entire relationship. And for the first time, I wasn't looking at it through hope or attachment. I was looking at it like an outsider. And what I saw wasn't something worth saving. The next few days were hell, but not in the way you'd expect. It wasn't screaming matches or dramatic confrontations. It was quiet, deadly quiet. I would sit at the kitchen table, staring at my coffee, my mind replaying everything over and over. Every laugh, every I love you. Every small thing I thought was just us being normal. Suddenly it felt like a lie. I didn't know whether to be angry, sad, or numb. Honestly, I cycled through all of it in 10-minute intervals. 1 minute my chest was tight with rage. The next I was crying like an idiot in the shower, and then I'd sit there, totally detached, thinking, maybe I deserved this somehow. I couldn't eat properly. I barely slept. Every little sound made me jump. Her laughing on a call, the door creaking, notifications on my phone. I felt haunted, like I was living in the shadows of someone I used to know. I kept thinking about the little ways she manipulated me over the years, the lies about bills, excuses about work, the constant, "You're overreacting" lines. And suddenly, I could see all of it clearly, like a puzzle snapping together in the worst possible picture. I had to be alone with my thoughts because every interaction with her, every attempt at conversation, set my emotions swinging like a pendulum I couldn't control. Anger, sadness, disgust, confusion. Each wave hit harder than the last, and there was no safe harbor anywhere. I didn't want to talk to her, not really. I wanted answers, but more than anything, I wanted my life back, the version of it that hadn't been poisoned by her lies. And that's when the first real moment of clarity hit. I realized this wasn't going to just blow over. Not for me, not for us. Something had to change. By the end of that week, I knew I couldn't keep pretending. Sitting around, waiting for her to come around, or magically feel guilty wasn't going to fix anything. I had two options: try to salvage this marriage with someone who clearly didn't value it, or walk away before it completely destroyed me. I spent hours thinking about it. The little memories of us, the trips, the inside jokes, the quiet nights, they were real. But the foundation? That was a lie. And no matter how much I wanted to believe she'd change, her behavior showed me otherwise. Sharp, calculating, unapologetic. That wasn't someone who would suddenly stop betraying me just because I asked nicely. I also thought about the emotional toll. Could I ever fully trust her again? Could I stop doubting every word, every gesture, every smile? I realized the answer was no. Not without constant anxiety, paranoia, and resentment, a version of myself I didn't want to live with. So, I made a decision. Not impulsively, not angrily. Calmly. Rationally. Even though my heart was breaking, I chose me. I knew it would hurt. I knew it would be messy. But I also knew staying would slowly kill the part of me that still believed in honesty, loyalty, and love. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to negotiate. I wasn't going to let her manipulate the narrative anymore. I was going to leave. And for the first time in months, I felt a strange mix of fear and relief. Fear of what life would be like without her, and relief at finally reclaiming some control. The conversation didn't go like I imagined in my head. I thought I'd be firm, maybe cold, and she'd get defensive, maybe even beg. Instead, she was almost casual. I sat her down in the living room. The words felt heavy in my mouth. "I can't do this anymore. I'm leaving." For a second, she looked genuinely surprised. Then, that familiar shrug. "Fine," she said. "If that's what you want." No pleading. No guilt. No tears. Just nothing. Like she had already checked out months ago. I almost laughed at the absurdity. 6 years. Every late night, every lie, every secret, and all she could say was, "Fine." I laid out the logistics, moving out, finances, separating things. She nodded, barely reacting. At one point, she even rolled her eyes at something I said about bills. And I realized that's exactly what I needed to see. She really didn't care. Not about me, not about us, not about anything we built together. The emotional impact hit me like a wave after the practical stuff was done. Leaving her apartment that night, carrying a few boxes, walking past rooms that used to feel like home, I felt like my chest would collapse. The betrayal, the lies, the manipulation, it all came crashing down at once. But mixed in with the grief was a strange clarity. I was free. Free from someone who didn't respect me. Free from constant gaslighting. Free from the anxiety that had shadowed me for months. It hurt like hell. It still does sometimes. But I knew I made the only choice that let me keep my self-respect. It's been a few months since I moved out. The initial pain hasn't completely faded. I still catch myself replaying moments, wondering how I didn't see it sooner. But with time, I've started seeing things more clearly. The first lesson? Trust your gut. I ignored mine for months because I wanted to believe everything was fine. I excused lies, brushed off weird behavior, and hoped it was nothing. Your instincts are usually right. Don't ignore them. The second lesson? Boundaries matter. In our marriage, I gave too much leeway, let manipulation slide, and allowed repeated lying to go unchecked. I now understand that being accommodating doesn't mean tolerating betrayal. Healthy relationships require honesty, respect, and accountability. Third lesson? Self-respect comes first. I realized I had spent years investing in someone who wouldn't invest in me. Leaving wasn't easy, but staying would have meant sacrificing my dignity and emotional well-being. And finally, grief and anger are normal and necessary. I allowed myself to feel everything: shock, heartbreak, rage, disappointment. You can't rush healing, and pretending you're okay only prolongs the pain. But over time, those feelings soften, and you come out stronger, wiser. I don't regret leaving. I regret not trusting myself sooner. But I also know I'm capable of love again, with someone who will match my effort, honesty, and respect. For anyone going through something similar, notice the small lies, trust your instincts, and never compromise your self-respect. Betrayal isn't just about someone else's actions. It's about how you allow it to affect your life. Protect yourself first. A few weeks after leaving, I finally felt a sense of calm I hadn't felt in years. Not happiness yet, that takes time, but peace. I started rebuilding routines for myself, cooking my own meals, going for walks without thinking twice, reconnecting with friends I'd neglected. Simple things, but they felt like freedom. I still think about her sometimes. Not in a "I miss her" way, but in a "wow, I survived that" way. The betrayal, the lies, the manipulation, they all taught me lessons I'll carry forever. I know now that love without respect is not love at all, and no amount of charm or excuses can make up for that. Most importantly, I learned that healing is active. It's not waiting for time to fix things. It's choosing yourself, even when it hurts. It's setting boundaries, speaking your truth, and refusing to let someone else define your worth. I'm not naive. I know relationships can be complicated. But if you ever find yourself in a situation like mine, pay attention, trust yourself, and don't ignore red flags. The right person will value you enough to be honest, even when it's hard. The wrong person will make excuses, shift blame, and lie, and no amount of hope will change that. So here I am. Hurt, but standing. Angry, but wiser. Broken, but learning to love myself again. And slowly, day by day, I'm moving forward. Because at the end of the day, that's all we really can do: take back our power and start living for ourselves.